Hi, I'm Tom.
And I'm Sean.
Today we're going to be running you through some of the basic tech equipment and setup for lighting the tunnels in the drift.
And basically what that entails is that we'll be configuring cameras and setting up the lights so that we can make it look as naturally dead as possible, making sure that the camera can pick them up because our eyes are better and the camera's eyes aren't.
Some of the equipment we'll be using today will be two of these diffuser lights,
an aptly named redhead light, and
the Sony EX1
and the Canon 60D. And the example that we're going to be using today is set piece 4 of the drift. So, let's go.
So, first off, we're going to have a closer look at some of the lights that we'll be using. These diffuser lights and the redheads. Diffuser lights have spaces for 4 bulbs inside. This diffusing shield acts to soften the amount of light that comes out to make it look less harsh and a bit more natural. Inside here, you can see there's space for 4 bulbs to go in. These just simply unscrew and pop back in. These ones do get a little warm, but word of warning when using the redhead. Oh, my hands! Yes, word of warning when using the redhead, it does get very hot. So wear a pair of safety gloves whilst handling it, especially when it's been plugged in for a long amount of time. In a similar way, the diffuser shield works. With the redhead, we'll be using some diffuser paper. This works in the same way, it softens the light that comes out of the lamp. These shutters here, or barn doors, help control the direction of the light and the intensity of the light that comes out. So what we're doing to attach diffuser paper to help soften the light, simple enough, bring it over and pull it underneath the metal clips that are on top of the top shutter. If you've got a small piece of diffuser paper, you can attach them to the bottom as well. And this will help diffuse the light. For the rest of this tutorial, we'll be assuming that we've got a sheet of diffuser paper folded in half over this, because that is what we'll need for the actual setting of the drift tunnels. Okay, moving on.
So, as mentioned before, we need to make sure that the cameras are set up to their base standard, which we will post up a picture to show you exactly what that is, all the specs and stuff like that. Basically, first thing to do with the camera is to make sure that you set a white balance. This means that it will base level the colour white in the place that you are, just so it's the same, it doesn't mess up and it doesn't look unnatural. Okay, so how to do this on here? So you just press menu, and all these red options here, as you can just see, are the video options. So what we have to do for the white balance is go to white balance here. There's a range of different settings, but these are all auto. You get stuff like daylight, shade, cloudy, tungsten light, but we don't want to rely on auto settings. So what you have to do is go along to this little square and 2 triangles, which is custom. And what you then do is go on custom white balance. And what it does on this camera is that you have to take a picture of a piece of paper, a white piece of paper, to get the white reading. But I haven't actually done that, so I'll do it now. So what you do is you get a piece of white paper. It's preferable if it is plain white, but just for today's exercise, this is line paper. So what you do here is you place it so it fills the screen. So you can see there that you can't see my hand or anything like that. It fills the screen. So what you then do there is press the take picture button or the shutter button. So it's got that white picture. So what we do now is then we go back into the custom white balance as before, but now it shows the picture that I just took. So you press OK for that one, and now that is white balanced to that piece of paper. And this is important because this is an important factor, is that you have to white balance to the level of light that you are. Say if you white balance here, as you can see it's quite bright, but in the tunnels it's very dark, so you need to white balance in the tunnel with the current light that it has. Right, for the tunnels, we have called this setting, the preferred setting that me and Tom have decided to use, setting 5. And for setting 5, we need to make sure that everything is right according to what we had. We put down a base level of what it needs to be, which is 25 frames per second, which matches the EX1. We need to make sure that the exposure composition is up. We have other settings that we tested this out, and it tends to be better that the exposure is up, letting in a bit more light. And as we said, we've already done the white balance, so we don't need to have a look at that. And that's everything that you need to do for the manual. Okay, so if you just look at the top of the camera, there's a button there that says ISO, just there. And for this ISO, it needs to be set, if you just look back down at the screen, it needs to be set, there's a range of options here, but it needs to be set at 400, which it already is. The thing is with ISO, the higher it is, the more grainy it gets, and with HD, it really starts to make it look a bit rubbish. But basically, that camera is now set up to configuration 5. Me and Tom will post the list at the end of this video of the configurations and all the settings it needs to be. But then now that is set up perfectly to go in the tunnel. So now we're going to set up the EX1 to match the Canon, because Darren has decided that we will go for the look of the Canon, and so we need to try and make this match. It is quite hard, and we have spent quite a long time trying to figure it out, just because camera brands, obviously, the difference between them is their selling point. Anyway, this is what you do. It's pretty much the same as the Canon, in that you have to set the white balance. For this camera, the white balance button is just under here. And oh, sorry, I didn't mention that you have to press here, you have to go on the setting that you want. These are presets, but so we'll go for B. Doesn't matter which one you choose, but you click on the white balance. And that has done it to the wall, which isn't great, but as I say, you put the paper in front, again like before, and now you press the white balance button that I've just shown you. And now it's configured the white balance, so everything we've got here, all the white is taken in the right light. Okay, right, what we figured as well for this is that we have to change a few things to make sure that it's as contrasty as the Canon, because you know, they're quite contrasty. It's quite cinematic, but this is a lot flatter. Okay, so the key difference in making this camera look like the Canon is this little setting called Black Gamma. So I'll show you how to do that. How you do this is there is a little button here called Picture Profile. It's quite easy to see. You just press that and it brings up a little side menu. Not the menu that is currently shown, because I didn't click that off, but it basically says there. It says select and set. So it will usually be set as off, which you can see at the top there, but we'll go for PP1. And as we go along here, there is a list of settings that you can change, because off is just the default, and this is still default, but this is any change that you want to put into it. Okay, so we scroll down past all the white detail, skin tone detail and stuff like that to Black Gamma, and what this does, it's the EX1's version of contrast, which is, you know, the selling point of the Canon, that it is contrasty, quite cinematic. So what we want to do is make sure that in the EX1's own way that it can replicate as best it can what a Canon looks like. So usually on here it is set at 0, and if you just look at this little slide wheel here, this is the select button and how you use the menu. You will scroll down, because what we want for this setting is -40. And you just press select with the select wheel again, so you just click that in, and then you press the picture profile button to get rid of that. So now, this camera should be set up to shoot inside the tunnels. Obviously it's not, because we haven't white balanced in there yet, but if you do all this yourself inside the tunnel with the correct lighting, they'll be good to go to shoot to the right, naturalistic, dead lighting that we're after. Okay, so we're going to go to the tunnel and show you how to set up some lights. So, let's go.
So here I am, setting up the one red head that we're going to be using to light area 4 of the drift. I'm stood to the left of the main corridor, the side where the two grills are. We're going to be using the red head to shine a diffused light using the diffuser paper through the back grill, so it casts a light on the wall. We're using the diffuser paper because when it shines through without it, the light is very sharp and very defined, which is what we wanted. We want it to be rather faint and natural looking. So, yeah, gets very hot. Make sure you've got gloves on. There we go. So here I am at the entrance of the long corridor of the setup of the Drift. What we're trying to achieve with the lights that we're getting set up is to make the light look as naturally as dead as possible. What we found is that by having the lights set up pointing directly down the tunnels, it's far too bright and far too in your face, and when you're moving the camera around you get quite a lot of lens flare. So what we've done is the 3 of these diffuser lights that we've got set up at various points around the setup, we've put them around corners or facing at an angle, so that the light doesn't shine straight down. It's more of a spread, which is nice because it creates quite nice shadows and contrasts as well. Although this does look very bright, as I'm sure it does on that camera, with the settings that we've got, the Sony and the Canon set up. See the Sony set up there, ready for the demonstration shots. You will see that it is actually much darker coming through on those cameras with the settings that we've got them on, which is what we were trying to achieve.
Okay, so that's everything set up, the lights and the camera. If you just take a look at this floor plan, it tells you where everything does need to be for this set configuration. It may vary from whatever you're doing, but basically the principles that we've been talking about in this video will give you a better understanding of how lighting and camera works in dark situations. Okay, on your screen now should be the 2 camera comparisons. The X1 is the bottom left corner with -40 gamma, and the top right is the Canon. Okay, so to give you a better example, for these shots with exactly the same sort of setup as before, the actor will be walking down the corridor. As he comes around the corner, you can see that he's wearing the spacesuit with the lights on the helmet and on his gun. But even though we have lit the corridor, as you saw earlier in the video, the lights from the character's costume light it up as if there is no light, which is exactly what we were going for.